Welcome back to the Being Better Every Day podcast. Fun fact, this is the second time that I'm recording this podcast because honestly, the first time I recorded it, I decided it was crap. So we are starting over, and here we are. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I have been working on with a couple of entrepreneurs, and that is what it looks like to start from scratch. I am on a journey to get better in all areas of my life, and I want to do it with you. Welcome to the Being Better Everyday podcast, where we dig deep into all the things a millennial mom needs to know. From how to juggle your passions with your full-time job, to asking the hard questions about hormones and health, and learning from one another along the way. I am Julie Wenzlick, and as a mom, business owner, and corporate girly, sometimes life can feel like a lot. So join me in the journey of being better every day, where we create habits and routines that support your life, create calm in the chaos, and put the you back in your everyday. Grab those headphones, put on your shoes, and join me on a walk while we get started with today's episode. What it looks like to launch a business that's been on your heart and work with me in order to show up confidently from day one with a cohesive brand and website design built with SEO in mind to know that you will get results in the long term and attract the people that you want to attract. So first and foremost, I have gotten the question asked before, what comes first, right? Branding, SEO, web design. Why do I offer all three? And I offer all three because I think my zone of genius is certainly the fact that I can see all pieces and how they fit together. Starting your own business is one of the most exciting and life-changing decisions that you can make, but it can also be the most overwhelming. So having somebody in your corner that knows what it's like, who has pivoted their business many times, and who feels like it's important to keep things at a reasonable price so that you can actually afford to start your own business is where I come in. So today I'm sharing my step-by-step process to help you start with confidence, starting with branding, and then we'll go into web design and SEO, and finally what it looks like to have a long-term content strategy to sustain success post-launch. So first and foremost, why do I start with branding? Well, branding sets the tone. It's not just about the logo, it's about creating that cohesive identity. It's about communicating who you are, what you do, and why people choose you. I, certainly am not one who will tell you what your business mission is or what your business values are, but I will challenge you to have them as we work through your brand and we can brainstorm together, for example. And a business with strong branding is 3 times more likely to be perceived as credible. Let me say that again because it came out kind of weird. But see, this is a problem. I have a cough too. Businesses with strong branding are 3 times more likely to be perceived as credible. And somebody who has seen a ton of small businesses, who has a ton of small businesses as friends, I think I can vouch for the fact that you can tell when branding is DIY'd. You can tell when they're, may not have, there's just an elevation factor when it comes to branding that will allow you to charge a higher price point. Customers are more likely to trust a business with a professional and consistent brand. And a clear brand also builds that trust, know, like, and trust factor that is so crucial when it comes to things like social media and websites. So once you, in order to work with me, the first thing you have to do is actually fill out the questionnaire on my website. We then email, we usually do some sort of intro call to make sure that we're right fit, right? What are you looking for? What is your budget? How can I fit within your budget? And, make sure that you get the experience that you need. And then from there, I actually have a pretty comprehensive brand questionnaire. Some of it might seem overwhelming, but it does allow me to be able to, after the brand questionnaire, create what's called a mood board. Well, I create a whiteboard, not a mood board, but it pulls all of the responses into this like big spider web of inspiration. And then from there, I actually create a concise mood board for the customer. But things in my questionnaire, I feel like it's kind of split between philosophy and actually like brand style. So things that I ask on the philosophy side of things are what's your current business tagline? What year were you established? Obviously, my questionnaire is not just for startups. What is your business value proposition, vision, values? What is your not brand not, right? What are you not trying to attract? What is your, why are you starting this company? Why did you start this company? Who are your main competitors? What do you differ? How do you differ from them? What do you like about other people's branding? What do you not like? Are there colors you should, well, this is on the more like branding side of it, but what colors are you most drawn to? What colors should we avoid? I am huge into illustrations in my branding. I think that is one certainly differentiator about me. So again, what illustrations are you already thinking about? Most likely you've already thought about something. Are there icons or brand patterns or anything that you'd already like to see that you know of? And then I actually have you go through both a mood board on colors, a mood board on fonts to kind of pick out things on Pinterest that, speak to you so that I can get a general direction of the vibe, lack of a better word, of what your brand may look like. So after the questionnaire, then we go through the mood board, and depending on how clear I am already on the brand and the style, I will either do colors and fonts first, or I will do all of it at once. Colors, fonts, initial logo mockups. Part of my brand package also includes now potentially brand stock photos. So for both of the entrepreneurs that I'm working with right now, they're brand new. They don't have brand photos because they're brand new. And so we went to Pexels and I made sure to find photos, stock photos that will fit with their brand, right? One is more editorial than the other. That certainly has a impact on the photos that we utilize. One has more of an outdoorsy vibe than the other. That has an impact. So again, it's not just about the one single logo or one color. It's an entire suite to know that wherever you need to show up, whether it's social media, websites, marketing materials, that you have a consistency that only a cohesive brand will allow you to have. So eventually on my website, I will show you what a sample brand package looks like. But priorities, I don't have that up yet. I actually don't even have a good branding page yet. You know, eventually, I will get there. For now, it is about a 25-page document that goes through mission, values. It'll go through your color schemes, your hex codes, your colors for your website, which might be slightly different, at least on the shadings to make sure they're ADA compliant. Your usually at least four logo mock-ups, illustrations, brand patterns if it's applicable. Sometimes I do them, sometimes I don't. Oftentimes you don't end up using them, even though I like them. So just depends. And then, like I said, mock-ups, including kind of those stock photos. So that process usually is about a month, front to back, depending on, again, how clear we are, how inspired I am. I don't force that work. I want to make sure that it comes from a place of inspiration for me so that you get the best result. But usually it's about a month, front to back, from when we start. After that, then what really comes next for me is because I am SEO minded, I feel like it's web design with SEO in mind. And again, this is not something that's necessarily clearly outlined on my website yet, but I am a semi-custom web designer, meaning I work on platforms like Wix, Squarespace. I've done Showit. It's not my favorite because it is so manual. I do WordPress, but I don't start websites on WordPress. I only build web pages on WordPress for existing web brands or brands. So primarily, if I'm starting a new website, it's going to be Wix or Squarespace. Again, I have started on Showit too, depending on the entrepreneur's needs. But I have found, to me, the reason I end up leaning Squarespace over Showit is Squarespace is more entrepreneur friendly, meaning you do not always have to have a web designer to update your website. So if you are somebody who does feel like they're going to want to be able to do things on their own post-launch, then Wix or Squarespace are going to be way more friendly for that. They do have slower site speeds, which is a ranking factor, but you can absolutely still rank. And big brands are on Squarespace, but there's more control over site speed on websites like Showit and WordPress. So it's just kind of a scalability thing. I have my website in Squarespace. I still get traffic. There are some design limitations, but again, I think it's about, the long-term friendliness, integrations that just make it still the best choice for me. But what I mean by semi-custom is oftentimes most of our entrepreneurs, we start with a template. And the reason we start with a template is it allows me to keep my web design price below market. Most web designers will charge somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 for web design, for 4 to 5 pages. And I generally charge between 1,000 and 1,500. And that is because we're starting from a template that will save me 10 plus hours of work. That doesn't mean that your website still won't look unique. Uh, every single website that I've designed has been from a template, including my own, and you would never know. It's just the point that the layouts, the little, the box here, the box there, the text there, that stuff takes time. And starting with a template gives you the ease of time that allows me to keep my price points lower, which again, if you're starting your business, is important. So we start with a template. I still, again, in Squarespace, for example, I often do custom code because you need to do custom code in order to have your own brand fonts in there. So I'll still override things. And again, the website that I'm launching in January has a decent amount of custom code for text, but it gives us, I think I've put in 5 hours on her website. She has done a lot more work, again, to keep the price point low. But, we can get a website up and running in 10 to 20 hours easily using that template. So when it comes to after I will usually search for a template based on what I feel will speak to the business owner. And then from there, I'll narrow it down, send them a couple of options, have them pick from there. Because again, I want to look at the templates, make sure that they make sense from an SEO perspective as well, and that they're not something that I could easily just create and not buy a template. So we do tend to look for more elevated templates. I help narrow that down. From there, we get the template. I have it loaded into my Squarespace site if we're using Squarespace or Wix, etc., or Showit, because Showit has templates too. Forget the platform, just think of the concept. Then I start to give the entrepreneur homework. So I'll look at each web page, for example, the about page, and I'll say, okay, Katie, because I'm working with Caitlin and a Katie right now, hey, Katie, give me 2 to 3 paragraphs about yourself. And then I will take those 2 to 3 paragraphs, integrate it into a layout that works from a user experience perspective within the web design. So there are web design rules that an average person wouldn't know, that you shouldn't have more than 3 sentences in a row from a Google SEO perspective. You should lead with bullet points. You should have multiple headers. You should make sure that all of your images have alt text and that all the images are under 1 MB. So all of these little like nuanced rules is where my expertise comes in. I have the entrepreneur help write the general copy, and then I take that copy and make it into that enhanced user experience on the website. The other thing that is unique and something that honestly drives me nuts about seeing other websites is the importance of SEO when it comes to building your website. SEO is the cornerstone of a successful website. And integrating in not just basic SEO, but making sure that we're doing all of the things to optimize and get your results is so important. And I can't tell you, for example, I pulled up one on my other screen. I bought an unlimited package to a Pilates studio in my hometown for the month of January to get out of the house. And of course, I'm sick, so now I'm not using it, but whatever. So that I can get out of the house, get my workout on, and actually stay motivated because I have been really struggling with working out lately. And I like their branding. They have good branding. But I went to their website and realized For example, on their homepage, they are looking to, they're a local in-person Pilates studio. So their headers should be something in regards to Pilates in my hometown as their header, right? Pilates studio, Pilates blah, 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 in blah, blah, blah town. I'm not saying the town. I mean, people who know me know who I'm talking or know the town I'm talking about, but whatever. And their H1 header tag, which is again the main header that Google will read to figure out what you're all about, is boutique fitness studio. Now, that's true. They are a boutique fitness studio. But if somebody is searching for Pilates near me, they will not show up because that is not applicable. Boutique fitness studio is not applicable to Pilates near me. And people who are going to want to go to a Pilates studio are going to be searching for Pilates. They also don't have any other headers on their homepage that will speak to that. They have nothing about, you know, where they're located. They have nothing actually about even being a Pilates studio on their homepage. And so those are the things that when you're hiring a web designer, when you're having somebody design your website, often web designers will say SEO basic included, something like that. And when I see websites like this, I'm like, okay, but it's a beautiful website. It's not going to get the business owner the results that they deserve because it's not optimized from an SEO perspective. So it's more than just having a meta description, more than having just a header tag. It's about making sure those header tags speak volumes, right? For example, a header shouldn't be yoga classes because yoga classes, if you Google search that, there's probably millions of searches a month. It should be yoga classes for busy moms in Minneapolis or yoga classes for kids in Minneapolis, whatever, like whatever your market is. That's what ChatGPT gave me. But it's got to be specific to your market and it's got to be long tail because as a new website, you're not going to get the traffic unless you are very specific about the words that you use. For the entrepreneurs that I'm working with right now, Caitlin is launching in January and we were very specific about her keywords that we used. And I have actually redone her homepage a couple of times pre-launch because I'm continuing to kind of refine to make sure that the words that we use are words that not only will speak to her ideal customer, but get her long-term traffic. And so when it relates to web design and working with my customers, I usually tend to work through each page. Typically, my packages include 4 to 5 pages, anywhere from, your home, about page, general services page, maybe one sales page or more, depending on, again, how much we negotiate, a freebie page, right? Something that'll help grow your email list, as well as, your privacy policy terms, etc. Now, for example, the person that I'm helping launch in January, she's going to be very close to launching when this podcast airs. Her homepage, what's called a hero section, says running a business shouldn't feel like reinventing the wheel every day. Now, you might think that's the main header for Google. It's actually not. From a web design perspective, I've actually tagged her business name as the H1 header tag, but it's not the first thing you see because that's not what's going to catch the user's eye. So it's all about making sure from a UX experience that it's catching, the ideal customer, but that I'm also tagging everything appropriately from a Google perspective. And so again, her H2 is that running a business shouldn't feel like reinventing the wheel every day, or system strategy coaching for small businesses. Those are very intentional words on her homepage to be able to show Google what she's about. I recently saw another small business that had a beautiful rebrand, beautiful new website. It's somebody that I did a planner for years ago. And her homepage has the headers of like my value or my services. And I just want to like immediately pop in and like, go, okay, but can we make this better by saying, I'm not going to give specifics because I don't want to call her out, but, I want to pop into her DMs and be like, hey, can I make this better for you? I'm not going to because I've learned that doesn't work, but I'm going to continue to talk about it and continue to show how important it is. And you as an entrepreneur then can kind of learn like, okay, it's not just about beautiful web design, beautiful user experience, but it's about making sure that the words that I use in my headers are going to be read from a search perspective. And with AI, that's going to become more and more important because AI is going to be leading search and we need to be answering questions that AI care about. So as we work through the web design perspective, again, with the entrepreneur that I'm working with launching in January, we're doing her about page, her homepage, services page. I've also helped her make sure that each page is optimized from an SEO perspective, right? So the normal contact page will generally have like one word, two words. Uh, but we're going to make sure that, for example, those pages that we want to show up on Google have at least 500 words, that she has her privacy policy, her disclaimer, her terms and conditions. She actually did get branding photos done. So she has additional photos, more than probably the normal person. Oh, I just saw one of them. I really like them because I'm on her website right now. Anyway, so after that, the other thing I talk about with entrepreneurs as we're working through their website is what is their long-term strategy to continue to grow post-launch. And most of the time, the entrepreneurs, if they're newer in business, do not have an email marketing strategy. And so the last three people that I've worked with, I've actually helped make sure that they have a system to capture emails. Even if they don't think they're going to send emails right away, it's very important to have a system to be able to capture those emails. So whether that's Flowdesk, whether that's integrated into Squarespace, having some sort of freebie value proposition in order to continue to grow your presence, grow your email list is super important. The other common mistake I see is in your freebies. So, for example, I have a free resources page. That free resources page for some people would just have the opt-in to get the free resource with just the header. And so like I have an SEO monitoring tools workbook, right? That tells you the free resources that you need to set up in order to monetize or monitor your SEO results. And if I didn't know about SEO, I would just have that and then the download right below it. But I actually have a dedicated page for each of my free resources with at least 500 words, because then each of those free resources can rank on Google. And if you don't have an individual page for each of your free resources with at least 500 words, you're missing an opportunity to continue to get the reach that you would deserve for those valuable resources. So I think, things like that of thinking through, okay, I have this free resource. It's not just about capturing their email, but it's about growing their reach by using those keywords on my website. The other thing is, again, for example, with Caitlin, we've been talking a lot about her long-term content strategy and what's reasonable to show up post-launch in order to continue to grow her reach on her website. And I've included for her long tail keyword research for blogs that she could write post-launch. And I've actually then peer reviewed her first blog to make sure that it kind of checks the box, so to speak, on optimizing from an SEO perspective. And so those are not necessarily like line items written things within my web design contracts, but it is things that I talk through on Telegram as we're working through everything else for their business. And those are going to be differentiators, right, from somebody who may just focus on the actual web design part of it and doesn't have that expertise in SEO. Now, why do I keep mentioning SEO? I think one of the things to think about or remember is that 68% of all online experiences begin with a search engine. And websites that show up on the first page of Google get 91.5% of all traffic. So if you're not showing up on the first page of Google, hell, I'm not showing up on the first page of Google for most instances, you're not going to get the traffic. And you will never get traffic if you only focus on words that get way too much traffic. So for example, yoga classes versus yoga classes for busy moms. Or in my case, I didn't want to rank for SEO because I know I'm not going to rank for it. But I chose SEO monitoring tools and I happened to get a ton of views from that particular keyword right now. And I'm going to continue to kind of make sure that I prioritize now when I lean into Pinterest in my next series, making sure that I'm using Pinterest keywords that I can actually rank for. The other reason that I think it's so important to have a long-term content strategy post-launch is there's only so many words that you can rank for on Google in your 4 web pages. And if you do not have a content strategy to continue to grow your website, even if it's one blog a month, you can't continue to show up for additional keywords. And the more keywords that you rank for, the more opportunity you have to show up as a business owner. So, for example, I just launched my own website a couple of months ago, and I'm now already ranking for, I have it up on my page right now. So previously, this is funny. I, before I knew about web design or SEO, I had 10 keywords that I was showing up for on Google Search Console at my old planner business. Now, 3 months in to my new website where I actually understand SEO, I have 104 keywords that I am showing up for. Now, am I getting clicks for all of these? No. But that's not the point. The point is that I'm starting to show up and I'm only 2 months in. And generally, traffic will take, 3 to 6 months before a keyword will actually start to show up consistently for you. I have, again, 104. If you look at, I bet you it won't even show me how many. One of my clients has 1.5 million total impressions on her website in the last 3 months. Now, I am no longer doing her blog work, but I am involved in kind of ensuring ongoing content strategies, etc. I've written one of her most successful blogs. She has got thousands of keywords that she's showing up for. At this point, I don't even know. It says over 1,000. But again, if you have 1,000 words that your website can show up on, that makes a massive difference. Or if you have, again, another one where we've had some good success is one of my clients just jumped up in clicks is she has searching over 1,000 words too, but you're never going to show up for 1,000 words if you don't have a blog content strategy to go along with it. And weekly blogs are extremely overwhelming. So I'm not saying you should do weekly, but having some sort of strategy for long-term content after launch is extremely important. And kind of coaching entrepreneurs through that to kind of think through the next steps after launch is something that I just kind of throw in, but I'm not like handholding them post-launch because that's not in my package. But anyway, so I've kind of digressed, but you're gonna get the point of like we start with branding, then we go to the website strategy, but every single word on our websites has an intent. And it is about not just the look, but it's about making sure that that user experience will get you results by having that backing. Now, if you're looking at other web designers and you're like, okay, what questions should I ask to make sure that they understand SEO? You should be asking things like, are you going to be doing the long tail keyword research for me for my headers? Are you making sure my website is ADA compliant, which I personally need to work on? Are you do you understand? Not do you understand, because that's probably derogatory, but what does the heading tag structure look like for websites? Or you could just ask like, hey, can I look at a couple of your other websites that you've done? And then you can install the header tag cheat sheet on Chrome and look at their websites. You should ask them, okay, how many words should I have on a page in order to make sure that I get seen by Google? And if they don't know, that's a problem, right? You should have at least 500 words. You should be asking if they fill in your alt text. You should be asking if they fill in your meta descriptions. These are all things that it's more than just the looks when it comes to web design strategy. Again, my web packages pricing will be going up in 2025 to integrate in the full SEO strategy of it. But for now, my web packages are under that $1,500 for 5 pages. More than that, I do price just per page. If you are interested in me looking at your website and seeing what your header tags look like, seeing, if you would like quick tips to fix on your own, I'm always more than happy to do that. I love those just kind of like conversations, even if you're not looking to hire me, because I do only take on one client a month. Send me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram is julie.pwdesigns. And again, more than happy to have any conversations around, how you could grow your reach. But hopefully this gives you a little bit of a look behind what does it look like to launch your business with me, from branding to web design to SEO and beyond.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of the Being Better Everyday podcast. Thank you for listening. I truly appreciate each listener. If you've enjoyed the conversation, I'd love if you would leave a rating and review or share it with your bestie to help me reach more women looking to ask the hard questions and live above that status quo. To see any visuals, head over to my YouTube channel. Links, socials, and resources mentioned can be found in today's show notes. If you're looking for more, you can find me on Instagram at julie.pwdesigns, sharing the behind the scenes of my everyday life as a millennial mom, corporate girly, and small business owner. Until next time, keep on taking one step at a time towards your version of being better every day.